Welcome to the Nairn County podcast, which is brought to you in association with our digital partner Ziyen Energy, the leading blockchain software and digitalisation experts leading the field in emerging technologies related to oil and gas tokenisation. For more, go to ziyen.com. Part 2 of Garry Ewing chatting to Graham McLeod about his life and times in football sees Garry tell us about coming to Nairn on loan and his disastrous debut. Making his Ross County debut the day they won the 3rd Division title, having Mark Haitley as a teammate, and also Garry's permanent transfer to Station Park. Here's what Garry had to say as we pick it up with him, telling us about working towards his full debut at Ross County.
You start getting closer and closer to getting involved with the first team up at Ross County. Can you remember much about getting involved in training and the early training sessions and who the standout players were?
Yeah, I mean, for me, going through all my years at Ross County, I always looked up to, there was 3 guys, well, more than 3 guys, but 3 in particular that were there from the beginning, from when I was there. And it was Stephen Ferguson, who's obviously there now, Kenny Gilbert and Roy McBain. I think the 3 of them were, in my eyes, just really good professionals. They would have a laugh and a joke and a good time off the park, but on the park and on the training pitch, it was just always 110%. And I think if you were ever found out, it was going to be by them, because their expectations were so high. And in particular, Kenny Gilbert, I mean, I think he would have, well, they all would have, but I think he was always quite close with the gaffer, Neil Cooper, and I think he would have run through a brick wall for him. And I think he showed that in a lot of the games, and especially in training. But yeah, no, the training was always good. As I say, the first 2 years at Ross County were, I think, probably the best footballing years I had. Just enjoyed turning out for training, enjoyed games, enjoyed all the cleaning. Honestly, the cleaning of the boots and that, the banter you got when you were doing that with a lot of the pros coming in, it was just good fun. And I think all the other boys would say that as well. It was just a good laugh, just a good time, really.
The 1998-99 season, that was a season where Ross County won the 3rd Division, and you're getting closer and closer to playing and making your debut for the team. Were you involved with travelling with the team around the country on match days during that season? What was that like?
Yeah, so we it was kind of split between the YTS boys, so I don't recall going to every single game, but not that it was on a rota, but if you weren't involved in the match day squad, 1 or 2 of you would always still go along and help the kit man out with the kit, get involved with helping out with massages and whatnot, and really just being involved in the sort of match day experience. You were absolutely gutted if you were involved on a cold, wet night away to Berwick Rangers or Stranraer and not getting home until sort of 2 or 3 in the morning. But yeah, it was all, again, a good learning curve, just being in and around professionals and helping out, even if you're not involved in the match day squads. But towards the sort of end of that season, or maybe sort of 3/4 of the way through to that, I think everybody, all one of the YTS boys, with training full time, started sort of knocking on the door. And a lot of us were starting to be getting our chance, although not getting on the pitch, but we were involved in the match day squads, being on the bench, and then on some occasions getting on as well.
Before that, though, you had a stint out on loan during Nairn during that season. How did that come about? Was it you desperate to get out and play, or had Nairn come in for you? And was there any other clubs that came in that you could have gone to as well?
I don't quite remember how it came about. I mean, I think at that time, whatever they told me to do, I would have done. If they said going over to Australia and go on loan at a club over there, then I would have done it. It was just the mentality you were at. You're thinking, right, I've made it as a full-time footballer, so I'm going to do what they're telling me to do. So we were playing, I think it was probably just under 18s games that we were playing. I think it might have even have been the sort of North of Scotland League, so your sort of Kilbokies and teams like that. So the standard wasn't fantastic that we were playing in the sort of reserve team games. So the opportunity came up to go on loan to Nairn, and obviously with being a local lad, never ever got to play for Nairn in the Highland League. So if they wanted me to do it, then I was happy to go and play. I don't think there was any other clubs. Maybe Elgin, I can't remember, but I mean at the time it was, as soon as Nairn was mentioned, I was more than happy to go on loan there.
Your debut down at Fraserburgh was a bit of a disaster, though. Can you tell us about that one?
Aye. Again, it's brilliant being able to do this because it just brings back all the memories that you have of things. But yeah, so went on loan. First game was away to Fraserburgh. I can't remember. I think it must have been sort of winter time because I remember the pitch being really, really hard. Even when we were warming up on it, it was people sliding all over the place. Borderline could have been called off. I don't know. And I think it must have only been the first 5 minutes in the game. And I went up for a header and came down and landed on my head and knocked myself out. Was out cold for a couple of minutes, I think, and then got taken to the local hospital. And then back then it was like, right, you're fine, just get on with it. So I think I made it back to the game to sort of see the end of the game. And then usual back to the social club or whatever it was afterwards, and then all the boys are on the bus waiting to go back to Nairn, and I'm just trying to get my head down, obviously head splitting, and then you just hear voices saying, "Oh, just go, they're not on the bus, just go." So I'm thinking, what's going on? But those people that weren't on the bus were the managers, Jimmy Walker and Mike Fridge at the time, and the bus left and left them in Fraserburgh. So yeah, I think that was the last game that Jimmy managed. And that obviously, I mean, I know Jimmy well, so yeah. He was probably one of the reasons that I decided to go to Nairn. He was manager at Nairn so it was obviously Hovis at the under 18 level, but Jimmy would have been manager at Nairn at the time, I think. So it was tough for me to see that, especially with being such a young lad, and I'm thinking, Christ, what the hell am I getting myself into? So yeah, the first game wasn't one to write about, I don't think.
Yeah, you go back to Ross County and you're on the fringes of things as they clinch the third division title. Do you remember that day at all, the day they won the league, what that was like and what the celebrations were like after?
Yeah, so away to Brecon. So as I say, a lot of the boys the YTS boys had been in and about the first team, and I was lucky enough that I was on the bench that day. I think Sid might have started the game from memory, and I was on the bench. So we knew we just needed to win the game, and that was the 3 points that would have won us the league. So we were 1-0 up. I don't remember when I got told I was going to be in the squad. I can't remember if it was just in the ground or on the bus journey down. I can't remember. So we were 1-0 up, and there was about 5-10 minutes to go. And I thought, there's no way I'm going to get on. They're not going to risk throwing me on with so little time to go. 1-0 up, we won the league. But then Frank Escalon, French magician, he got injured. I mean, he was such a cultured midfielder, centre midfielder, really, really good player, both feet. So cultured French midfielder gets taken off and they throw on me. And honestly, I was just like a rabbit in the headlights. I'm sure I got told, like, just stay in the centre of the park. And you know me, I played hardly any games centre midfield. I was a left back and I got told to go into centre midfield. And I was thinking, oh my God. I think I was sweating more than anybody coming off that pitch because I just ran about like a headless chicken for 5 minutes. It was like watching schoolboy football watching me. I just followed the ball around everywhere. But we managed to get the 3 points. And yeah, the league was won. I know it was pretty. The changing rooms, obviously, as you see on the TV, just champagne, tins of beer, everything getting spilt over everyone. The bus journey up the road, I think we stopped off in Pitlochry or somewhere and ended up staying in a bar there for hours, and then back home to Dingwall. And the town was bouncing. Social club, Ross County Social Club was heaving, so it was good. And again, something I'd never thought I would have experienced, and did. So yeah, it was good.
A few weeks later, then you make your first start. It's a game against Montrose away from home. What's your memories of that day? Did the manager tell you in advance that you were going to be starting at all?
So we always stopped off on the way down at a hotel somewhere, and would have sort of a pre-match meal. And I think that the team was kind of read out whilst we were having the pre-match meal. So straight away the nerves started kicking in. Again, I thought at most I was going to be on the bench. But that was the thing about the gaffer, that he always he always, if you were the old cliche, if you're good enough, then you're old enough. That was, I think, how he looked at it. Yeah, so I got told in the hotel, and I went on and was playing a really, really good game. And it hadn't really sunk in then, but all the young boys, I guess, were kind of playing for their contracts because we'd only signed year contracts, I think. So I guess this was the gaffer's way of seeing the boys that could come in and play and seeing how they could cope. So I was playing okay, playing pretty well, and then after 70 minutes got cramp and could not get rid of it. And then it was actually Brian McLeod that came on for me. But straight away when you go off, you're thinking, God, have I done enough? I mean, it's only 70 minutes and they're expecting you to be able to play 90 minutes. So you don't know if you've done enough to go on and secure a contract. But to start a game was, again, something that I won't forget. And it was a good game in my eyes that I thought I played until I got cramp.
Not long after the start of the following season, a real legend of not just Scottish football but British football comes in, and England international Mark Hateley, who'd gone from scoring for Rangers, I think, in the Champions League about 5 years or so previously, to playing second division with a short period of time with Ross County. What do you have any sort of? I know he was only there a short while, but do you have any memories of that? Remember when you were told that he was coming into the club?
It was a shock, to be honest. I mean, Ross County, you wouldn't have thought a club like Ross County could have the pulling power, I guess, of getting a player like that. I mean, I know Gaffer knew him well from being a sort of Rangers player himself, and to be honest with you, I can't even remember how many games he played, but you never ever saw him around the place until it was a Saturday. He kind of just turned up and played. I think he maybe only played a handful of games, and I guess in my eyes it was maybe a little bit of a kick in the teeth to a lot of the boys that were already there and had been, I guess, playing and whatnot. That, I mean, he was obviously a legend of the game, but he was on the way out of his career. And from my point of view, it was kind of where I started to see my Ross County days kind of coming to an end. The gaffer had started taking a lot more boys from the Central Belt up into the team. So I felt myself that I was getting further and further down the pecking order of ever going to get a game again. And I don't. That's no slight on him. He had a job to do, and to be honest with you, 90%, 95% probably down to myself. There was a lot of immaturity in me back then. I was still a young guy, and I think part of me probably thought I'd made it as a footballer, when if you look at it, I was nowhere near it compared to some of the boys that have gone on to have good careers. So yeah, I think just a lot of immaturity, and in hindsight you look back at these things and you think if I could have done this different or done that different, would it have made any difference? But I just think there was so many players coming in at Ross County during them days that, yeah, a lot of boys were just going, and me included, were just going further and further down the pecking order. And I think, yeah, when a club signs a player like Mark Hateley, you think, Christ, what chance have I got?
Yeah, you then leave Ross County during the 2000 and 2001 season. Do you remember the conversation that they had with you when you were told you'd be moving on?
I think everybody kind of knew my time was up. So it was Danny McDonald, who I've got a lot of time for. He was one of the main reasons that I went to Ross County. And yeah, I think the conversation, he said that Nairn had been asking questions if I was available for loan. I think at the time there was, I think Rothis might have been sniffing about as well. But once I heard that Nairn were looking to sign me, I just felt as though I needed a fresh challenge. In hindsight, could I have stuck about Ross County? I don't think so. I think I knew my time was up. Could I have moved somewhere else or tried to fight for maybe going to another full-time club? Probably. But to be honest with you, I wasn't enjoying football at the time. I'd moved back to Nairn. So I'd moved out of the digs at Dingwall and moved back to Nairn. So yeah, part of me was just wanted to get away. And once Nairn wanted to sign me, then it was a bit of a no-brainer for me. And I think from the get-go, I kind of hit the ground running at Nairn. It was a fresh challenge. And sometimes it's not the end of the world, which it wasn't for me. I hit the ground running at Nairn and really enjoyed the first 2 or 3 seasons there.
So you come into Nairn. Who are the top players at training with Nairn when you first come in?
So I think Brooksy, obviously. Brooksy was there. Loved Brooksy's. Even watching him, like before I went on loan, watching games at Nairn, he was a young guy, and I guess it was somebody that you could you could say that you wanted to play like the sort of dedication and that you showed or looked to show in the pit was something else. So you go, well, the boys that were there. I mean, I went up to watch Nairn before I signed. So you had your Nuggets, your Sinkies, Mo, who was there for about 200 years. Shady. I mean, Shady got some slagging, but Shady was such a top bloke on and off the park. I thought just a total workhorse. And then I'm trying to think of Monty and all that, Scotty Kelleher and all that were already there. I think they were. Gary Farker, obviously. These types of boys you enjoyed playing with. Yeah, just a really good squad of players, to be honest. And it was disappointing that for me that we didn't actually win a trophy when I was there as that team, because I think it was good enough to win a trophy. Definitely.
How did you find the adjustment? You're coming in from a full-time environment to part-time environment, training only twice a week instead of sort of 4 or 5 times a week, and you're having to go to your work and then train at night. How did you find that adjustment?
Not too bad, I don't think. Yeah, like the work thing was a whole new ball game to me. I'd obviously left school and went and played football, so the thought of having to go to work was the biggest challenge. Playing football, it was fine. Sharpies training was always good for me. A lot of ball work. Hated running, but a lot of the ball work and any running that you did do was your usual disguise running with the ball. So no, and as I say, it was a good bunch of lads and a good level. As I say, when you've got players like Gary Farker and Scotty Kelleher in your team, they're ex-pros as well, so the bar was kind of raised. So you weren't. I didn't feel as though you were going in at it obviously was a lesser level, but with having boys of that skill set in the team, the training levels were always quite high as well. And you had your Highland League professionals that hold themselves to a high regard. So training was always good for me, and I didn't have to travel to do it. It was sort of just up the road for training. So no, it was good.
The Nairn County Podcast is brought to you in association with our digital partners, Ziyen Energy. Click on Ziyen.com to find out more.